What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing today? And another day on this sheep planet we call planet Earth. Anyway, today's video I want to talk about why we shouldn't feel bad for the parents, but instead feel bad for the kids. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Everyone. So, why we shouldn't feel bad for parents, but instead feel bad for the kids. Now, often there's times where you're here, like, you get some people that say, man, this mother has her hands full with this kid. This kid's wild. I feel so bad for the mother, the amount of stress that she's under, raising the kid, trying to raise him or her or whatever. And I say to myself, don't really feel bad for the parents. Feel more bad for the kids, because the parents put themselves in that mess. This could have all been avoided, but instead they wanted to have kids, so they got to understand the consequences it takes, of raising that kid. That's the thing. This all goes back to where I say people don't think. A lot of things can go wrong with having a kid. You can have a kid, it could be autistic. You can have a kid, it could be Down syndrome. I mean, there's a lot of problems that could happen. You can have a kid that could be wild. You can have a kid that could be perfectly sweet. I mean, it's a big list. And these are the things parents don't think of. Or they sort of think about it, but at the same time, they just risk it. A friend just walked by. But, yeah. They sort of maybe think about it, but they risk it. It's like, some know what to expect, some don't know what to expect, but whether they do know or don't know, they still end up choosing to have kids. But then when it ends up having a problem, let's just say, then they get all stressed out and overwhelmed and, all like pissed off and pressured and whatever else you can say. And then I say to myself, don't really feel bad for them, because they're the ones that put themselves in the mess. Feel bad for the kids, because the poor kids didn't have a choice. They just randomly came. Just like none of us had a choice. We randomly just came from our parents. Now, I'm not saying to hate your parents in any way, but at the same time, they do cause a lot of stress on us, because look where they bring us into, but yeah, that's why I have no sympathy for parents really that are under stress, because they should know the responsibilities it takes to raise a kid, and the financial shit and the expenses and everything, And these are the thing. People sometimes just don't think. Or whether they do or don't, they just do it anyway. I mean, it's crazy. See, me, I already have this all plotted out. Like, I already see the whole picture down the road. And this is the reason why I don't want to have kids. So, like, let's say I have kids right now, and all of a sudden I'm under stress. People saying, I don't feel bad for Justin. He did it to himself. And I would say, you're absolutely right. I caused this problem, but I'm not stupid enough to cause this problem. So I'm trying to prevent this problem by having kids. By not having kids, I mean. We become nasty to our kids. We try to discipline. We try to do this, try to do that. All this stress shit. Meanwhile, the poor kid didn't ask to be here. The kid's just here now. So really, who should you feel bad for? Really the kid, because the kid had no clue about this. The parent did, but the parent did it anyway. So it's like, why feel bad for someone that caused their own stress? They caused it. They caused the whole problem. And yet, the thing that kills me is parents have multiple kids. Just raising one child alone is stressful, is a pain in the ass. At least I look at it as a pain in the ass. And then no less people want to, excuse me, and no less people want to have more than one. So now they're being extra pressured. Now they got to really work hard to support those 2 kids. Or 3 kids, or however many they friggin' have. It's like a cannon. Boom, the 4th one. Boom. Not trying to make a joke, but seriously, that's what it's like. It's like a fucking cannon, man. just spawning them things. And then yet you get some people that say, my God, how does she have all those kids? That poor woman, man. I feel so bad for her. She don't feel bad. She's the one that did it. She's the one that agreed to it. That's the only reason why they're here. Because of her. She agreed to having them kids. So I don't feel bad for her at all. Absolutely 0%. I don't feel shit. I don't feel no sympathy for those type of people. Because they caused their own problems. Instead, my sympathy goes on the kids because the poor kids now got to go through this bullshit. They got to go to school. They got to get a job. They got to go to college possibly, or a trade, or who the hell knows what. Then they got to work their ass off like dogs, whether they want to or don't want to. Can't say, like for example, you can't say it's their fault. They had no choice. They were just randomly spawned. But the parents, on the other hand, had the option and they chose it. So I don't feel sorry for parents at all in that way. And I'm not trying to sound like a total douchebag for saying that, but, it's just the honest truth. They caused their own migraine. Why would I feel bad for someone that caused their own problems? I can understand if someone gone through some kind of problem that they didn't create, it just randomly like fell on them, then yeah, then absolutely, I feel sorry for that person. I really do. But if someone's causing their problems that could have prevented these problems, why should I feel bad? They're just stupid. In a way, they deserve it for being so stupid, And I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to sound like a total heartless moron in any way, because that's not me at all. I truly ain't a heartless moron, but it's just what I'm trying to say is parents, they don't think, man. People just don't think. All they want to do is have kids, but they forget the responsibilities and things you got to do to raise a kid. And then sometimes they can't take it if they're wild, or if they have this problem, or if they come out Down syndrome or autistic or whatever. And it's going to be more stress on the parents. Well, that's your own fault. No one told you to have a kid. You told yourself that, so now you got to accept all these things now. So really, I have no sympathy for people like that. I just don't. I'm sorry. I deeply apologize, but I just don't. They caused it. No one's guaranteed to have a healthy baby. I mean, everyone that is having a baby, I do hope it comes out healthy. I do. It's not like I'm wishing bad on people. I had no way at all am I like that. But the thing is, anything could go wrong. You could have a miscarriage, premature. It's just, there's a whole list of things I'm not even going to get into, but it's just, you get what I'm trying to say here. It could be a lot of problems. You could have ADHD, it could be hyper, it could be this, it could be, who knows? And it's going to put more stress on the parents. Well, these are things you should think about before having kids. These are the consequences you got to think about that could possibly happen. These are the risk factors, I guess you would say. These are the risk factors that you got to accept and be prepared for having a child. Because they happen sometimes. They do. They do. So that's why I don't really have no sympathy for parents. Now, I'm not trying to say F you to parents, whoever's a parent watching this video. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I'm saying is, if you have a kid, it's your responsibility to do whatever it takes to raise your kid. If you're under stress, that's your own fault. If that's the case, why did you have a kid? Why didn't you think about this whole picture first, That's basically what I'm trying to put that as. And then it's funny, like you'll probably get some people be like, Justin, it's easy for you to talk, like to say, don't feel bad for us. But if you were a parent, you would see what we're feeling. Well, that's the whole reason why I choose not to be a parent, because I don't want to feel that problem. I'm smart by not making that mistake. If you get what I mean, I'm not trying to put that stress on myself. I see the whole picture. I see the whole plot down the future, and that's why I'm trying to prevent that from ever happening. So really, I do understand where people are coming from, but at the same time, parents are the ones that cause the problems. They could have prevented this. I mean, hey, you want a kid, but you got to understand the risk factors to this. Everything's a risk in life. Everything you do is a risk in life. Getting in the car, going to wherever you got to go could be a risk. You may not make it there. You might or you might not. Something could happen. You can get shot. You could, anything, everything in life we take is a risk. It is. But that's a risk that sometimes we can't control. So that's why we end up feeling bad for people. Because no one knows what life's going to throw at us. But what I do know is when you're having a kid, these are things you got to expect to possibly happen. Now, we don't want those certain bad things to happen. We want to all have a healthy child, but that's not always going to be the case. And then it ends up putting the burden on us and stress. Meanwhile, it's your own fault. Don't blame your kid. Don't feel bad. I mean, yeah, you should feel bad for the kid. But what I'm trying to say is I really don't feel bad for the parents in that way. Because you got to think this all through. And that's the thing. We just try to think of, oh, he's going to be healthy. He's going to be healthy. Which, hey, I hope so. Of course, I hope so. And most of the time, he could be, or she could be, but that's not always going to be the case. You got to always expect the worst, too, unfortunately. I know it sounds negative. We don't want to think that route, but these things happen. They're sometimes good and bad. And sometimes you got to expect the bad to happen. You know? I mean, I'm just trying to tell it as real as I can, you know. I'm just trying to be as real as I can. I'm not trying to, like I keep saying, I'm not trying to sound like a dark person or like you know, a heartless dude, because that's, like I said, it's not me. But all I can say to people, think your life through, man. Think before you want to have kids. Think about the whole picture and what responsibilities you're going to get yourself into. You know, think it through. Really think deep into it, because things can go wrong. There's multiple things that can go wrong with having a child, and it puts a lot of stress on you. And then no less you want to have more than one. I don't know how people even have more than one. I don't know how people have 4 kids, 5 kids. Just one alone, man, makes me want to boom, you know. Nothing against the child. I mean, I'm not blaming him, but we cause it on ourselves, man. Anyway, guys, I think I'm going to call it a day here. You know, like I said, I'm just trying to keep it real here, like I always do in my videos, and I truly appreciate everyone here for watching. It really means a lot to me. I do truly appreciate each and every one of you that are watching these videos, and I hope you all try to have a good day as best as possible. I know it's hard saying that in a horrible world we live in, but from the bottom of my heart, I do hope everyone's blessed to some nature, you know. But anyway, guys, gonna let you go there. Signing off. Peace out.